Hi, I'm Mary Mammoliti. At times, my life can get pretty hectic, and I like to relax by inviting my friends over. It's filled with fun, laughter, and of course, delicious, delicious food. And that's what we're doing today. And I hope you'll join me for my girls' night in. I love the sizzle of butter melting in a pan, the smell of cinnamon while I'm baking. I need to touch food while it's cooking and, of course, taste it, even if I can't see it very well. To me, cooking should be fun. That's why I've invited chefs from across Canada who feel the same way I do to cook with me, virtually. Welcome to Dish with Mary. Andrea Buckett is a chef and food expert who lives in Toronto. Over the last 20 years, she has worked to inspire Canadians to get in the kitchen through her work as a food writer, recipe developer, culinary instructor, and media spokesperson. Not to mention the fun and creative food videos she posts, which can be found online at andreabuckett.com and at Andrea Buckett Cooks. Andrea believes cooking fuels her creativity and has allowed her to create connections to places and people around the world, including me. We're here in my kitchen, and I'm with my good friend, Andrea Buckett. Andrea.
Hi, Mary.
I'm so excited to see you because it's been a while.
It has been way too long.
You and I actually met through our recipe development, and your website is absolutely phenomenal. You've got tons of recipes on there. And I thought today would be fun if we made one of your recipe meals.
I'm very excited. This is a delicious recipe. I like to mix up my flavors. I like something that has a big punch of flavor.
Yeah.
And this is a recipe that you can make all year round. So it's really accessible. We're gonna make a delicious steak Puttanesca salad.
Oh my gosh. Okay, all my favorites.
Yeah.
All my favorites. And like you said, I love it because you can make it all year round.
And it really satisfies so many different palates.
Yeah. But before we get started, for today's full recipe, you can go to our website at AMI.ca/dish-recipes. Okay, so let's get started.
Okay, so let's start with the steak because that's the most important piece here. So there's a lot of ways you can cook this, but we're gonna do it on the stovetop and finish it in the oven.
Okay.
So you're gonna heat up a cast iron pan. If you just have a stainless steel pan, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
So heat it up so it's nice and hot, and we're gonna add some oil here. You could use olive oil, or you could use a nice neutral oil like canola oil would be fine as well. The only thing you really have to do to the steak is to season it with a bit of salt. Steak always takes a little bit more salt than people think, and it's what's gonna make it delicious. So do not under-season your steak.
We've already heated up our pan, right?
Right, yes.
And we're seasoning both sides with salt?
I'll season both sides. I'm just gonna get the seasoned side right into the pan right away.
Nice.
Okay, so
I love that.
that's what
sound,
you wanna
right?
hear, right? You
That's
wanna hear,
the sound.
Yeah, you wanna hear the meat hit the heat. You know it's going to sear. It's gonna give you that gorgeous color and gorgeous crust on the outside. And that's really where all your flavor comes from, okay? So we're gonna continue and we're gonna season with a little bit more.
Now, this is actually another reason why I invite people over, because I get them to cook while I poured us a glass of wine.
Awesome.
There's yours. There's mine.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is the best thing to do, is to hang out in the kitchen. The
Right.
kitchen always has the party. It's the house to the party, right?
Exactly. So now we're listening out for the sizzle. How long do we keep it on the one side?
Okay, so you want to keep it until it gets a little bit of color, but not necessary because it's going to go into the oven as well.
Okay.
But we're going to keep it here for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to flip it over. So you really just want to take your tongs, and I'm just going to have a look. You know, I'm always thinking about ways I can use my tongs or equipment to be multi-purpose,
Yeah.
right? So this looks
so
pretty
now
good.
you've just lifted the steak. Are you just looking for like the brown
Yeah.
kind of golden color at the bottom?
Just a little bit of brown color. And what I like to do is when you're flipping meat in a pan, especially if you have oil in that pan,
Yeah.
you want to flip it away from you as not to splash yourself with all that oil. So it's a really nice safety tip for anyone who's just starting out cooking, or perhaps you've got kids in the kitchen cooking with you. You know, my kids both love to cook, thank goodness.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, but I got them in there early. You know, when they were
Yeah.
like 4, they were scrambling eggs. By 13, my youngest son was making a full roast chicken dinner. So I'm very lucky.
Really?
Yeah.
So back to the steak. What do we got going on?
All right, so this steak looks perfect. We're gonna turn the steak off here, and now we're gonna pop it into a hot oven. So it goes into the oven, 400, 425 degrees. And what you're looking for is, people always ask, how do I know when my steak is done? Your favorite and best tool when cooking any kind of meat should be your thermometer, an instant read digital thermometer.
See, and that's very important, especially for someone like me who's low vision. I use a lot of these different tools in the kitchen because, again, it may be a visual cue to some, but for me, I need that either timing or, like you said, the thermometer, where mine is actually a talk thermometer. So
oh, amazing.
Yeah, or just get something that beeps at you when it's reached the optimal temperature, the temperature that you want it to be.
So I like mine medium rare, and medium rare is technically about 140, but you don't want to cook it to 140 because it has cooking time after it comes off, because you want your steak to sit. So I cook mine to about 130, 135 from the oven, take it out and tent it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and it'll cook perfectly all the way through to medium rare.
But you can still have this medium rare, but if you want it a little more on the well side.
So then I would take it to like 140, and then still sit it for 10 minutes underneath aluminum foil, and then it'll get you to that medium rare point.
Okay. Now I want to mention, you put on the silicone glove, the silicone mitt, because the handle of the cast iron is piping hot.
Piping hot.
Okay.
All right, let's get this in the oven.
So we've also preheated our oven.
Yes, to 400 degrees. There we go. And that does its thing. And we're going to check it for temperature in a few minutes, and we'll go from there.
So while our steak is in the oven, let's get our reverse rub ready.
Okay, this is where all the flavor comes in. So as you know, Puttanesca is chocked full of all kinds of umami flavor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get you to grab that bowl.
Of course.
Put it right here.
So I'm putting the bowl right in front of me.
Perfect. We're going to start with Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard has a great piquant flavor. You don't really want to substitute it for anything like yellow ballpark mustard. You really want that flavor of Dijon. Lemon juice is going to bring that acid, which always brings up that beautiful level of freshness. And I'm going to get you to whisk that together.
Yes.
You know, I got to put you to work here too.
Of
this
course,
is your kitchen.
I mean, I got to stop drinking at some point.
A little bit of lemon zest. Okay, so anytime I use lemon juice, I actually love to incorporate the zest because that's where all the essential oils live and you get that really bright citrus flavor.
Oh gosh, I'm already getting that brightness of that lemon. Okay.
Garlic, of course.
Yes.
All right, some nice chopped garlic.
We need the garlic.
Now, I'm going to give you some anchovy paste here. I know people might be a little bit squeamish about using anchovy paste, but it really is umami. And umami is that fifth flavor that heightens the flavor of everything else you're eating. Okay, so we're going to pop that in there. And you can use paste if you actually had whole anchovies, you can certainly chop those up and add those in as well. So capers, these are going to add a brininess. And then we're going to finish it off with a little bit of olive oil. Of course, fat is flavor and it carries all those flavors beautifully together. And we're going to finish with some fresh parsley.
Absolutely. Whisk this all together. You really are getting these really vibrant.
Let's trade.
Okay.
Let's trade.
So we're trading. I've got my, so we got rid of the whisk. I've got my spatula.
Oh, you know what we forgot? Always salt and pepper.
So,
all right, that's it. That's all you have to do for the reverse rub or marinade.
Okay, so I've combined it all. We're gonna set this aside. Oh, our steak is ready.
Let's get the steak. All right, so we're using the silicone glove. And so we're gonna take this for temperature. So we are going for medium rare. So we want it to be about 135 degrees. So you're gonna take your digital instant read thermometer and we're gonna measure it.
Now I've got another little surprise for you. I have got my talking thermometer.
Oh.
This is really handy for me. So you hear that little beep?
Yes.
Right when you open it up, because that lets me know I don't have to look for anything. There's nothing visual about this. So I can just, I mean, you can if you want, so it can be used by everyone because it's got this big LED screen. But once we pierce the protein, it'll give us the reading and it'll read it to us so I don't have to worry about seeing.
Amazing. That is an amazing tool. So you're going to put it in the thickest part of the protein always. Of course, you want to just get it into the center. And we're looking for 135. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Okay, so we are there.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move this to our cutting board. You always want your steak to rest for, it depends on how long you cook it for, but roughly 10 to 15 minutes. And that allows the carryover time of cooking to take it to the exactly medium rare point that you want, but it also gets those juices to stay inside, so it's going to be perfectly cooked and perfectly tender and juicy.
Okay, so we've got a piece of aluminum foil that we're just placing over top that meat.
Yeah.
We don't have to tuck anything in. You don't have to pinch anything. Just place it over top and let it sit there and rest.
It could be a baking sheet. It could be a plate. It could be whatever you have access to.
As long as it rests.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so while our steak is resting, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're gonna be making our Puttanesca salad. Don't go anywhere. Dish with Mary will return. We now return to Dish with Mary. We're back with my friend Andrea of the recipe-rich website, AndreaBuckett.com. So today we're making a steak Puttanesca salad. We've got our steak resting, and now it's time to make the salad. Andrea, I've gone ahead and I've chopped up a lot of the ingredients, and I've chopped up the tomatoes, I've halved the cherry tomatoes. Tell me, what else do we got in front of us here that we're gonna be putting into the salad?
Okay, so any tomatoes will work, but you really wanna pick those tomatoes that have jewel tones, right? Because it's gonna be gorgeous, it's gonna be flavorful. Tomatoes are the base. I'm gonna get you to throw in some Kalamata olives, which gives you that briny hit of salt.
Okay, so we've got them pitted and sliced,
yep,
right?
Pitted and sliced. Throw
Can
those
I go
in.
all in? Oh,
all
yes.
In. I love olives, so the more the better for me. But if you don't like them, of course, you could leave them out. Red onions.
I left one for the chef.
One.
Okay.
A very little one.
Mm-hmm.
Red onions go in next.
Okay. So we've sliced these. What did you do? You just halved and give them a little slice?
Just a thin slice. So give us a bit of a little bite. Okay, so salt it up. Not a lot of salt here because, like, you can add all of that, but it's not a lot of salt because we have, of course, a lot of salt in that reverse marinade. Olive oil.
It's olive oil.
So I'm just going to tear up some basil or basil. How do you say it?
Basil.
Basil. Tomato, basil, basil.
Yeah.
And I like to tear it up because I like to leave it in larger pieces. It just adds, you know, some vibrancy, and you know what you're eating. There's nothing worse than having a salad where everything's chopped up super tiny, and you sort of want the herbs to mimic the size of the rest of the veg. Okay.
Okay. Whenever I smell freshly chopped basil, cut basil, torn, and honestly, it reminds me of my dad.
Oh.
My dad used to plant it in the garden, and I remember just going and just picking one right off the vine, and I would just kind of sniff it.
It's definitely one of those scents that brings you back to a time and a place.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have black pepper.
A little bit of black pepper. Sure. Yep.
Okay. I've just tossed that in. Okay.
Perfection. That's it.
So we've got all our ingredients in the salad. I'm going to move some of our plates out of the way. I said plates, but I'm moving my wine
closer to you.
Out of the way, I mean closer to me. See, you get me. I'm moving the basil. Okay, so now we've got our reverse marinade.
Yes.
That's gonna go where?
So we're gonna put about a tablespoon of that right into the salad, just to brighten it up a little bit and to echo the flavor that's going to go on the steak.
Okay.
And just toss that up and give it some time to sit and mingle so all those flavors, you know,
kind of meld together.
You know it. All right, and now we're going to go to the steak. We're going to reveal the steak that now has been sitting for about 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna move the salad out of the way.
I'll grab this marinade bowl, move that out of the way for you.
Perfect, and now we're gonna slice into this steak. So again, you wanna slice it across the grain on the bias into these beautiful strips. And again, this is going to extend your piece of protein. You know, everyone only needs a couple slices with their tomatoes, but look at how beautifully this is cooked. We used your instant digital read thermometer, which gave us the perfect reading, right?
It does. It looks great. And I see the juices are just coming right out of that. And that's also from cutting against the grain.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that because you're doing thin slices. And right now, the grain is important for this.
Right. So cutting across the grain is actually more important than actually marinating a flank steak, because what it does is it cuts those muscle fibers into a very short piece. So they're very tender.
So now, rather than a visual cue, what I use sometimes is, and I'm just taking a look at this piece right here, because it's cooled off, we can actually touch it, and you'll actually feel little grooves in the piece of meat.
Absolutely.
So that is another indicator.
That's right.
Of, again, the grain.
Absolutely.
So you want to cut the opposite way of that.
Yeah, and you'll know, like, if you slice a piece and you try it and it's really tough, flip it. Exactly.
Oh, see, that's the best tip right there. Try it. Taste it. If it's really tough, you know to flip it.
Okay, so I'm gonna get you to bring that salad a little bit closer, and I like to serve this family style. So I'm simply going to take these beautiful slices of beef, and maybe you can just pop that spoon out of the way for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're just gonna lay it across here so it looks beautiful. And now this is the time, Mary, where you're gonna grab that reverse rub again, and you're going to put it on the steak. Perfect. So you're just going to dot it down the center. Now don't be shy. This is where all that flavor comes in, that garlic, the Dijon mustard. This is delicious. I'm telling you, this is addictive. You're gonna wanna eat this by the spoonful.
Honestly, I could just dive right into this bowl. So what I'm smelling, I'm getting that tanginess. I'm getting almost I want to say like a sweetness, but there was nothing really sweet.
Well, capers and lemon kind of give you a sweetness.
There we go, yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're not talking like sugar sweet, it's like this really subtle.
The steak is kind of rich and bold. This is rich and bold, but then you get the freshness of the basil and the tomatoes, and together they make the perfect marriage.
Yeah. They really do.
So that's it.
Wow, this came together in no time. I'm starving, are you?
I am.
Okay, so when we come back, Andrea and I are gonna do a little taste, and we're gonna do a little dish. We're gonna be dishing with one another, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for more Dish with Mary. We now return to Dish with Mary. Welcome back. I'm here with my friend Andrea Buckett, and we've just finished making our steak puttanesca salad. I can't wait to try it, but before we do that, I want everyone to get to know a little more about you.
Let's do it.
Okay, I know, but our viewers don't know. You have 2 boys.
I do, 23 and 20. They both love to eat, so it's hard to keep them fed. And they're my biggest fans, but also my biggest critics. You know, we've talked about that before. But they love to eat everything, and they cook for me. So it's really a joy to cook for them and to watch them as they learn to cook as well.
I mean, and like me, you develop a lot of recipes. And where does that inspiration come from? What's your process like?
I'm always thinking about what I want to eat, the flavors, right? What do I feel like that day? But of course, seasonality comes into it. You know, I'm really big into what's in season because it's always the freshest. You know, there's so many countries around the world that really support the use of their food. And, you know, being here in Canada, we grow some amazing food. So it's really important for me to keep it local, support our farmers because our farmers do such amazing work. And it's easy to forget how much work goes into the plate of food that you're eating in front of you. So if I can keep it local and support my local farmers, I try to do that as well.
Okay, so what's your favorite ingredient to cook with? Because there are so many, I mean, and I know we like to try different things. And
yeah.
I'm sure we can speak for both of us, where if it's interesting, if it's different, you want to use it. You want to try and use it in something. So
I'm going to say something that all chefs probably say. I'm going to say butter. You need butter.
Right.
You need butter to bring flavor or some sort of oil.
Yeah.
Because you don't really need a lot of different seasonings to make something local and fresh taste delicious. You just need to cook it for a short period of time. You know, the fewer ingredients you use, the better the ingredients should be, in my opinion, right? So buying the local, so a little bit of butter, it's like perfection. It doesn't need anything more than that.
Okay, so now I'm gonna throw you a little curveball here. Let's say, brand new to cooking, you're starting up your kitchen.
Yeah.
What are 5 kitchen, maybe tools or tips even, that you would give someone to start off?
Okay, first off, if you have a recipe, make sure you read that recipe all the way through or have an understanding of the flow of that recipe. So my sister at one point made one of my recipes and she phoned me and she said, I made this recipe. It was like a black bean hamburger or something. And she goes, but I didn't have black beans. So I substituted for something completely different. And I didn't have X, Y, and Z. And I said, okay, well, then you didn't make my recipe. Like there's a reason, there's a method to making a recipe. And if you follow it, it will probably turn out as long as it was a well-developed recipe. So I really encourage people to read their recipes from front to end to make sure you have everything in place. That's number one. In terms of tools, it really is basic. I know there's tons of, you know, different things on the market. A good chef's knife, you know, whether it's 5, 6, or 7-inch chef's knife, a paring knife. For me, a microplane is like definitely necessary because you can get lots of flavor and you can grate your cheeses and your nutmegs.
What else what I also love, I mean, we use the talking thermometer. They have talking scales. There are these gadgets. I call them gadgets, but they're really useful in the kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's whatever brings you that comfort level and what gives you that ease in the kitchen to get you cooking.
Absolutely.
And I think we both agree on that. So even if you think it's like something that's more of like a hack or a little gadget.
If it works for you in the kitchen, I say go for it, right? Like it's the same with a recipe. Whatever's gonna work for you in your kitchen and for your skill level, go for it.
Yeah. So your goal is to get people in the kitchen and you like to share what you know. Why is that so important to you?
It's important because I think to some extent, making your own food has become sort of a lost art. And I think we've been sold, you know, this line by marketing that it's so hard to get dinner on the table. And it's, you know, we all need meal kits or we need these, you know, people bringing us food from restaurants.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that complicated. You know, a meal could be like a simple bowl of pasta. It could be a simple salad. So I just really want to encourage people that everyone has to eat. We all want to eat well. You know, it brings us together as families, as friends. And I think it's important that everyone at least have a couple good recipes in their back pocket to share with family.
Love it. I think we've waited long enough. And I'm ready to taste the salad. Are you?
I'm ready.
Not even taste. I'm ready to dig in.
Well, I know what it tastes like, so I'm excited for you to try it.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. Are we doing this together? What's happening?
So. I'm getting a tomato and some basil. You need a little bit of everything in there, right?
Okay, so I've got my cherry tomato, a little Kalamata olive. Okay, this is fantastic.
Thank you.
Like really, it's fresh, it's vibrant. It's, like I mentioned, that kind of subtle brine, but it's not that subtle saltiness.
Yeah.
Right? And if anyone was worried about the anchovy, it melts right in. It's beautiful.
You don't really taste it. It just adds a certain nuance that you're kind of like, is that in there?
Not in the slightest.
It makes it super delicious.
Yep. The steak, cooked to perfection. It is, okay, so this reverse rub,
yes,
adding it to my recipe list because it's like exactly what you said. It's that fresh, in your face kind of flavoring that it comes up and it then settles in the back of your mouth when you're eating.
And it just brings out the flavor of that steak beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. As you've said a million times, to live well, you must eat well. And boy, did we eat well today.
We did.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
For today's full recipe, you can go to our website at ami.ca/dish-recipes. Host, Mary Mammoliti. Executive producer, Michelle Dudas. Series producer, Anna Podra-Barrick. Associate producer and editor, Manuel Grados Andrade. Director of photography, Silvio Bulgaretti. Camera operator and assistant, Gavin Lee. Freelance camera, Brian Roy. Sound recordist, Mike Monson. Food stylist, Joyce Singh. Media accessibility specialist, Simone Cupid. Audio post, Mike Monson. Graphics, Mike Smith. President and CEO, David Arrington. Copyright 2022, Accessible Media Inc.